She also brought us Dr. Oz and The Secret. We have to remember what this lady has done.
She has to be held accountable.
I forgive her, but I mean, cut the shit. The Secret is a particularly egregious offense.
What? You don't believe? You don't believe?
Believe?
I want to be rich. I am rich.
I imagine myself flying. I can fly. I will beat my wings until I take off.
Her schoolgirl affectations and body movements. Like, okay, ready? Here it is. Like, okay. She raises herself off her chair. Like, I'm just really excited. I'm really excited about this. Okay.
You're so right.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something you haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to blow your mind.
Okay. Right, like that.
Right.
Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly just took a sledgehammer to Oprah's carefully crafted image, revealing the flaws beneath the surface of the so-called queen of curated wisdom. While Rogan tore apart her feel-good guru persona with brutal humor, Kelly sliced through the illusion with sharp, clear-cut criticism. From spiritual marketing to staged sincerity, nothing was off-limits. This wasn't just criticism, it was a serious wake-up call that made the media powerhouse look more like a commercial brand than a guiding light. In the end, Joe Rogan called for something more genuine. It's a powerful dose of reality, and you won't want to miss it.
Oprah is no longer in the business of staying up on the news. She's reading undoubtedly from blue cards her staff gave her. That's how the Oprah Winfrey Show was shot. Oprah didn't have to think of her own questions. It was all impromptu or on a blue card for Oprah. She doesn't know she's not making big news with this revelation. She said she'll sign the same shitty so-called border bill that they rejected last time because it would let 5,000 illegals over the border a day.
Yeah, but it was confusing when that was taking hold with people. When I had friends that were telling me that The Secret is real and that they imagined they were going to fulfill these childhood dreams that they had about whatever, being a whatever it would be. There's a couple people that I knew that were trying to tell me that The Secret was going to be the thing and that they had a vision board and they had photographs, they put pictures up of the things that they wanted, like them in front of large crowds and shit. I'm like, oh boy.
Them in front of large crowds.
This is so not how it works.
Joe Rogan didn't waste a moment. The second Oprah's name came up, he leaned into the mic like a man ready to reveal a magician's whole trick book, and not the fun, mysterious kind, but the corporate illusionist who's been marketing enlightenment from a gilded throne for years.
The sex podcaster instead. She thought
call the ambulance or whatever it's
called.
The
woman who was talking about
the daddy
how to use dildos a week earlier.
Don't stop insulting her. That sounds like...
Did you see the Oprah interview?
No.
She's off the rails.
Yeah,
off the rails.
I heard about it.
Into fucking wine mom country again.
Wow.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that.
Tim Dillon is the best. Tim Dillon's like, she's saying gypsy curses. What is she saying?
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Joe started off by calling out the ridiculous empire of self-help speeches dressed up in luxury branding. He compared the Oprah phenomenon to the most successful cult that somehow never got called one. She doesn't just promote books, she turns them into sacred texts. She doesn't just talk to guests, she elevates them. It's like once Oprah gives you her approval, the normal rules of reality no longer apply.
So we have got to talk about the failure of the celebrity. Oprah Winfrey. You have no power. You do not have any control over this electorate. Neither do you, J-Lo. Let's take a look at Oprah's final closing message on the campaign trail.
We don't get to sit this one out.
He mocked Oprah's evolution from daytime TV host to spiritual guru with $1 billion smile and a Rolodex full of self-help sages. Joe found the whole enlightenment for profit machine downright hilarious. Meditation? Sure, you can have it, but only after you buy the 14-part masterclass, the Oprah-endorsed incense sticks, and the fleece blanket stitched with your soul's journey. Want peace of mind? Awesome, but it'll cost you, plus shipping.
Yeah, this is the best she can do, by the way. When they give her the talking points in advance, when they say, we're going to have a girl stand up, that poor girl who talks about her childhood sexual abuse. And what does Kamala do? Oprah, I don't know if you've heard this story, but when I was in high school, my best friend was being sexually abused by her stepfather. And I said, we've heard this story so many times, and it makes me crazy because she is using this poor woman's sexual abuse as a valorization of herself.
He tore apart the notion that Oprah built her empire on being relatable, all while turning into the living version of an aspirational Pinterest board. She speaks about struggle like she's still eating canned tuna under harsh fluorescent lights, not casually sipping imported tea in her $90 million, zero centavo compound. Joe laughed at the irony of someone promoting simplicity while living in an estate that probably has more bathrooms than a football stadium.
You remember the time Oprah had that lady on, its face bit off by the chimp, and she showed her face on TV?
Oh, yeah.
Miraculously, she survived just the unimaginable. Her name is Charla Nash. Charla almost always covers her face with the hat and scarf. She wears it, she says, because she doesn't want to scare people.
The lady was wearing a veil over her face, like, let's see your face, come on. She pulls the veil away.
Like a nope.
What are you doing?
Would you mind lifting the veil? Oh, no. So we can see. You could take the hat off. Oh, the hat comes off. Yep. Okay. All right.
Then came the spiritual buffet, and Joe ripped right into it. The Oprah brand doesn't just serve up feel-good wisdom. It packages it like some kind of sacred elixir. Every episode felt like a self-help sermon, complete with dramatic lighting, wind chimes, and slow-motion footage of someone hugging a tree. Joe called it emotional fast food. Looks good, feels good, but offers zero real nourishment. He pointed out the contradictions. How do you preach gratitude while slapping your name on half the aisles in a luxury department store? How do you promote humility when your personal brand is so inflated it could float above the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade? Joe joked that Oprah's inner circle probably includes lighting directors, sound healers, and crystal consultants, all working overtime to make basic advice sound like it came from the Dead Sea Scrolls. Then he really nailed it with a comparison. Oprah's show was like a spiritual shopping mall. You walk in feeling down, and leave with a signed copy of You Are Enough and a candle that smells like self-acceptance. It's not therapy, it's therapy-themed entertainment. A big, shiny spectacle of affirmation dressed up in primetime glam. While Joe was busy exposing the spectacle with biting humor, Megyn Kelly came in with a totally different approach. Her takedown wasn't playful, it was sharp, focused, and ruthless. When Megyn smells hypocrisy, she doesn't laugh. She dissects.
I feel as insulted. My intelligence is insulted. I'm bored by you. I'm offended by you. And the thing is, it almost makes me think of Oprah. So Oprah actually was full of profundities when she did that show. I realize I have different feelings about her today too, when she's gone political. But back in the day, when I was young in law school and you turn on the Oprah Winfrey Show, you would hear something that would give you, oh, that's good. That's good. Like something, she's the one we got aha moment from. She had these little catchphrases where you're like, oh yeah, that's something to think about. And her team would set it to music, and they'd slow down the interaction. They put in slow-mo, like her hug with a firefighter or something.
And she started by dismantling the myth of Oprah as the voice of the people. Megyn questioned how someone who hasn't flown commercial in decades, hasn't stepped into a grocery store without a camera crew, and hasn't faced real pushback in years can still claim to represent the average American. She laid out the core issue. Oprah stopped reflecting her audience a long time ago. These days, she mirrors their fantasies, not who they are, but who they're told they should aspire to be. Megyn also took aim at the performative virtue signaling. Oprah doesn't just support causes, she curates them, often wrapped in cinematic orchestras and sweeping drone shots of her estate. Megyn didn't pull punches. She tore into the idea that Oprah's compassion is always authentic, pointing out how it often feels more like calculated branding than sincere conviction. She challenged the contradiction of preaching equality and fairness while living in a world so far removed from both. And she drove the message home. Real leadership means stepping into hard, uncomfortable spaces, not hosting polished discussions in a perfectly lit sitting room while an audience nods on cue. Megyn didn't just say Oprah was out of touch, she proved it.
The pretend laughing is so, like Oprah's pretending to laugh. And by the way, can I just say, I'll let you finish your point on the gun, but the Oprah affect is done. It's so over. Her fake, like, I did not know that, right? Like she she's leaning into this like homegirl, like, what? I learned something. And her yelling, she yelled at us all night. Oprah was yelling. I'll show it to you in a second. You take up the mat.
And then she went after the Oprah empire itself, the business side no one wants to discuss. Oprah has turned inspiration into a full-fledged industry. Every book she endorses, every product she promotes, every guru she brings on stage turns into a cash cow. Meghan raised the question no one dares to ask. Is it still about helping people, or is it about maintaining the brand? She dismantled the Oprah Book Club like a legal cross-examination, describing it as a one-woman monopoly on literary approval. If Oprah likes your book, you become a literary saint. If she doesn't, you might as well not exist. That's not empowerment. It's empire control disguised as encouragement. Meghan pointed out that it's less about books and more about branding. The Oprah seal of approval isn't about literary taste. It's about commercial dominance. She went further, saying Oprah's carefully crafted image of moral authority, complete with soft lighting and choreographed tears, rarely allows room for dissent. No one questions her. No one challenges her. And Meghan declared that's dangerous because when someone reaches that level of public worship, they stop growing. They just perform. They live inside an echo chamber so padded with compliments that the truth can't even knock on the door. Back to Joe, he wasn't finished. He took on Oprah's habit of inviting pseudo-experts, the kind who promise inner peace for 4 easy payments. He joked that Oprah has become the gateway drug to pop psychology, where everyone's trauma is instantly fixed with a couch, a deep breath, and a commercial break.
Yeah. And they boiled it down to the easiest one, which is dreaming.
Right, exactly.
And that's why it's sold, but Oprah sold it. I mean, she was one of the big ones, man.
She was all in.
She was fucking 50 years old at the time. I mean, this is not a young woman who is selling this. How old is Oprah now?
75?
89?
And they boiled it down to the simplest thing. Dreaming. Right? Exactly. And that's why it sold. But Oprah sold it. She was one of the biggest players, man. And she was, like, 50 years old at the time. This wasn't some young woman selling this stuff. How old is Oprah now? 75? 89? He rolled his eyes at the focus on feelings over facts. According to Joe, Oprah built an empire on emotion. Emotional interviews, emotional books, emotional confessions, but it rarely leads to real solutions. It's emotional indulgence disguised as personal growth. And when it comes to fixing real problems, Joe said it's like offering a scented candle to someone whose house is on fire. He didn't spare Oprah's politics either. He found it hilarious that Oprah plays kingmaker every election season. The woman who once gave away cars like candy now treats political endorsements like sacred rights. Joe mocked the idea that a billionaire media mogul can tell working-class people how to vote when she's never lived their life. He described her endorsements as less about principle and more about controlling the narrative. Oprah doesn't support people, she curates them. Meghan came back with more proof. She called out the silence, the moments Oprah chooses not to speak. For someone so vocal about justice, she sure knows how to vanish when the story doesn't fit her brand. Meghan stressed that real integrity shows when no cameras are rolling. And Oprah, according to Meghan, only speaks when the optics are already perfect. She broke down Oprah's every woman image and revealed it's completely manufactured. You don't reach that level of wealth, fame, and power without becoming part of the system you claim to challenge. Oprah isn't fighting the establishment anymore. She is the establishment.
I used to love Oprah, like most of us who grew up when we did. And only now did I realize I've been getting spoon-fed propaganda from this woman for years. I always took her little setup packages as gospel. You know, before I was a reporter, I never even thought to question whether Oprah might be intentionally misleading me. Then last night, the dawn came and I was like, oh my God, she is not a reporter. She's a propagandist. She's trying to shove messaging down my throat of whatever she...
A world where self-reflection is a lifestyle and responsibility is always someone else's problem. According to Meghan, the Oprah effect isn't about true empowerment. It's emotional indulgence disguised as self-awareness. Back to Joe, who fired up over Oprah's role in diet culture. He pointed out the absurdity of someone publicly battling weight for decades suddenly becoming a wellness guru. 1 minute it's diet pills, the next it's self-love. Joe joked that Oprah's body transformation played out like a reality show with a revolving door of nutrition trends. And the best part? Every season wraps with a book deal and a standing ovation. He also mocked the endless contradictions, be your authentic self, but only after reinventing yourself 20 times, love your body, but here's a subscription plan to fix it. Joe said it's like selling freedom while tightening the leash. And the kicker? Millions still buy it. Meghan didn't laugh. She called out the harm, the confusion, the mixed messages. Oprah's advice doesn't just reach eager listeners, it becomes gospel. And when that advice is inconsistent, unchecked, or simply wrong, it doesn't just fail, it misleads. Meghan stressed that influence without accountability is a serious problem.
There was a story I was reading about Oprah, unfortunately, where this woman had terminal cancer.
Hey.
And she had stage 3 breast cancer and just decided that through The Secret, she was going to imagine herself a healthy person.
Yeah.
And then, she eventually wound up dying from it because she didn't get treatment.
Just the next book, the next brand, the next headline. Joe wrapped it up with one last jab. He imagined a world where Oprah finally retires and the entire self-help industry collapses like a house of cards without a soul. Because in Joe's mind, she's the keystone of the empire. Remove her, and suddenly 1,000 life coaches are left wandering the earth without a guiding light or a booking agent. Meghan, however, left the door open. She made it clear this wasn't about tearing Oprah down. It was about seeing clearly, stripping away the gloss, removing the filters, and remembering that media messiahs are still just people with agendas, flaws, and power that often goes unchecked. Together, Joe and Meghan didn't just roast Oprah, they peeled back the layers of the media queen's kingdom. They exposed the branding, the contradictions, the selective morality, and the business of emotional enlightenment. And they did it not out of spite, but from a growing frustration with a culture that confuses fame with wisdom and applause with truth. And just like that, the stage grew a little dimmer. The spotlight flickered. Somewhere deep in the heart of that empire, the script started to feel less sacred because 2 voices refused to play along, and neither was finished. Joe leaned in again, mocking the army of Oprah-influenced influencers who've popped up like daisies after spring rain. He laughed at how every suburban coach with a ring light now channels their inner Oprah, complete with fake wisdom, breathy pauses, and personal growth hashtags. He called it Oprah's most unintentionally hilarious legacy, the cult of curated vulnerability. Everyone's suddenly a guru with a latte and a vague childhood wound. Meanwhile, Meghan came back swinging. She zeroed in on Oprah's newest project, trying to repackage authenticity as a streaming series. She questioned how something real can be scheduled, edited, and backed by mood music. She painted a clear picture, Oprah walking through her garden with a camera crew, philosophizing about being present, while a producer cues bird songs from a hidden speaker. It wasn't authenticity, Meghan insisted. It was scripted relatability, a performance sold as wisdom. And audiences, growing sharper, are starting to see through it. Joe nodded to the shift. People aren't just buying what Oprah is selling anymore. They're asking what's behind the velvet curtain. And as it turns out, the glow might just be stage lighting, not the truth.